Thank you for joining NMH at 1, where we take a look at the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. In the news today, mother implicated in girl's brutal murder. Walvis continues shooting blanks. Over 600,000 Namibians surviving on social grants. I am Ashwin Berry. Midday news update after the break. The Namibia Statistics Agency earlier this morning officially launched the National Strategy for the Development of Statistics, which will run for 4 years between 2023 and 2027. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. Visual news coming up next.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's get into the visual news. Marianne Pembe, the face of the Olufuko Annual Cultural Festival, says that the cultural festival is Namibians honoring who they are and where they come from. Nepembe, who was speaking at the official opening, added that Namibia as a developing country is highly influenced by modern culture. The Namibian culture and tradition cannot be fully understood without considering the impact of the Western culture, she said. More than 30 girls are participating in the cultural festival at their own will and with their parents' consent.
Celebrate and preserve our culture and our tradition. The Olufuko Festival is us honoring who we are, where we come from, and we are headed. Now, the beauty of Namibia is expressed through its cultural diversity, its languages, its music, its food, its rich history, and of course, its lifestyle. As a developing country highly influenced by the modern culture, the Namibian culture and tradition cannot be fully understood without considering the impact of the Western culture. I'm talking about how the Western culture has dimmed the light on our culture and how much that has taken away from us, to the extent of us slowly losing touch with who we are and where we come from. Today, we should ask ourselves, how relevant is the Namibian culture and tradition as we live in this new modern world? There is an African proverb that says, and I love this proverb very much, it says, when the roots are deep, there's no reason to fear the wind. Please, ladies and gentlemen, how deep is our Namibian root running in terms of culture and tradition? Can we really do away with celebrating our culture and tradition? Is there enough preserved for the future generation to find? I don't think so. Throughout my journey as the face of the Olufuko, I have learned so much about my culture and tradition, which makes me a proud Owambo woman today. Our culture and tradition is our identity. It shapes us as a people, our interaction with one another, our environment, as well as our daily lifestyle. The Olufuko Cultural Festival says, we are proudly Awambo people. Come get to know us through our lifestyle, our languages, our music, food, our beautiful traditional attire, our art, but most importantly, the Olufuko initiation and its importance. As a country with a rich and diverse culture, it's important that we hold on to what sets us apart and makes us unique from the rest of the world. This can only be done through such initiatives as the Olufuko Festival. The Olufuko initiation is a place where young girls are groomed into womanhood, teaches them their culture and their tradition. The initiation contributes to the prevention of teenage pregnancies as they are taught how to care for themselves once they reach puberty. They learn how to do traditional house chores as well as the Awambo customs. These are some of the values, if not preserved or passed on to the next generation, they may be lost forever. So to our beautiful brides, Afukoyetu, Ademupanturu Nene.
The University of Namibia and the Association of African Universities hosted the official opening of the 22nd Conference of Rectors, Vice-Chancellors and Presidents of African Universities 2023. The conference will take place from the 4th to the 7th of July. COREVIP is a significant gathering of top leaders in African universities focusing on fostering collaboration, knowledge sharing and addressing critical issues in higher education across the continent. Namibian dignitaries also received recognition awards for playing a vital role in uplifting education in Namibia.
Namibia is honored to have been chosen through our premier university, UNAM, to host the 23rd 2023 Association of African Universities Conference of Vice Chancellors, Rectors, and Presidents of African Universities. Nations' higher education systems are the seeds of knowledge creation, skills development, new inventions through research and innovation, and through appropriately harnessing new emerging technologies. It is not a sheer coincidence that Africa's universities leadership is converging here in Windhoek, Namibia, at a time when humanity and the world need urgent answers to rising geopolitical tensions, rapid adverse effects of climate change, how best to embrace the fourth and fifth industrial revolution in the face of the pros and cons of AI, and in the face of the problem of youth unemployment, and in particular, graduates unemployment. Some of the challenges are, of course, human trafficking, drug abuse, and issues of inequality. I can go on and on. The African Agenda 2063 strategies on education dovetail to the Global Education 2030 program that contributes to the achievement of Goal 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals that calls for inclusive and equitable quality education and lifelong learning opportunities for all. The Continental Education Strategy for Africa calls for the paradigm shift towards transformative education and training systems to meet the knowledge, competencies, skills, research, innovation, and creativity required to nurture the African core values and promote sustainable development.
Former NUST Council Chairperson Florette Nakusera says governance issues are threatening the stability of the country's second biggest tertiary institution, especially fights between council members and management. An update on this story follows in the newspaper review segment.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's get into the newspaper review. Namibian Sun's front page reports that former Namibia University of Science and Technology Council chairperson Florette Nakusera, who vacated her seat under a cloud of controversy last week, says the institution faces mayhem if critical governance shortcomings are not addressed. She also warned that harmony between the council and management members will not be attained if both parties do not adhere to the regulations that govern the institution. The Nakusera-led council's term came to an end last Friday amid fierce bickering between council members over an array of governance-related issues at the country's second-largest tertiary institution. In her exit report submitted to Higher Education Minister Dr. Ita Kanji-Murangi, Nakusera said the separation of roles between management and council must be clearly outlined to avoid institutional mayhem. On page 3, a Zimbabwean couple who allegedly fatally assaulted the man's 9-year-old daughter appeared in the Windhoek High Court yesterday. Edward and Caroline Carter allegedly threw Akundaishe Natalie Chipomo's body into a garbage bin in Windhoek North in January 2020 and set the contents on fire. Chipomo's biological mother, Rachel Kureva, was initially a co-defendant in the matter. At first, the prosecutor general decided not to prosecute her due to insufficient evidence, but she was rearrested after Edward's 14-year-old son implicated her in the murder in a police statement. Her case was transferred to the High Court in February, and the state applied for the matter to be joined with that of Edward and Caroline. If this application is approved, all 3 defendants will soon be tried together. Republican informs that a couple from the Western Cape, which has been frequent visitors to Namibia for the past 30 years, were robbed in the past weekend by 6 men armed with knives and pangas at a resort in the south of the country. Diona and Eddie Reinek, who have camped in Namibia Wildlife Resort's Boplas campsite along the Orange River, about 60 kilometers from Roshpina, when they were raided. On page 3, the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources made a recent announcement to issue a quota for the harvesting of 80,000 Cape fur seal pups and 6,000 bulls during this year. According to the ministry, the seal population currently stands at 1.6 million animals and is made up of 26 colonies. They consume an estimated 2 million tons of fish per year. The Ministry of Environment Tourism spokesperson Romeo Muyunda stated that if you let seal population grow, they will indeed consume commercial amounts of fish. The population needs to be maintained at a level that the ecosystem can support, he said. Ocean Conservation Namibia, a private initiative to rescue seals, stated that the annual seal harvest slaughter is highly controversial, mainly because of the brutal way of clubbing young seals to death on the soft back of their heads. The Agamanan Saiton reports that in an unusual move, SWAPO Party veteran parliamentarian Jerry Ekanjo plans to introduce 2 anti-gay marriage bills to Parliament today. Ekanjo announced this yesterday in the National Assembly. In the first bill, the term spouse or partner is to be clearly defined. Second, Ekanjo wants to introduce amendments to the 1961 Marriage Act, which would prohibit same-sex marriages and marriages between people of different sexes. On page 3, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Forestry informs all farmers about the awareness campaign for the Namibia Livestock Identification and Traceability System, as well as the stock brands. According to the ministry, the campaign is being conducted by officials from the Directorate of Veterinary Services in collaboration with Meat Board and will run from July 17 to the end of October 2023. We continue with the Namibian newspaper after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
150.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
The Namibian newspaper reports that the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty, Eradication and Social Welfare says more than 618,000 Namibians are surviving on social grants. These include old age pensions, grants for orphans and vulnerable children, and disability grants. At the same time, the latest World Food Programme report notes that insufficient food production and reliance on poorly adapted rain-fed agriculture and external markets for food see poor households vulnerable to shocks and food price inflation. The statistics also show that the number of state old age grant beneficiaries has increased by almost 10,000 this year alone to 202,294. On page 3, the Public Service Union of Namibia and the Shack Dwellers Federation have welcomed the government institution's pension funds plan to allow civil servants to purchase homes using their pension funds. The union's Deputy Secretary Uyama Kahangoro said that they have made these recommendations to the government institution's pension fund, considering the low housing allowances public servants get and the cumbersome process of acquiring home loans from banks. This comes after GIPF Chief Executive Officer David Nyoma made a farewell courtesy call on President Hage Geingob at State House on Monday. Since this is their own money, they can now make arrangements to acquire properties through easy and affordable means, Kahangoro said. Namibia is currently sitting on a 300,000 unit housing backlog. On New Era's front page, the Namibia Airports Company says Menzies Aviation legal tactics to keep on providing ground handling services at Hosea Kutako International Airport while its contract lapsed are draining its coffers. The NAC's lawyer Vincent Maleka said unlike the agreement with Menzies, the new ground handling agreement with the joint venture between Paragon and JV Ethiopia Airlines provides NAC with a guaranteed income of 500,000 Namibian dollars per month. This fee escalates by 11% per year, he said. As of 1 July 2022, NAC was supposed to rake in these profits, but Menzies refused to vacate, as first ordered by the High Court and later affirmed by the Supreme Court on 9 June, said Maleka. On page 3, the Walvis Bay municipality has been instructed to re-advertise the position of CEO for the third time now, following the unsuccessful outcome of their last attempt to fill the vacancy. Only Gerson Karairua, who once served as the acting CEO of Roads Contractor Company, was shortlisted in November last year for the position. However, the sole candidate Karairua failed during the interview held on 16 June after garnering only 45% according to the points allocated by the interview panel. The panel does not recommend the appointment of Karairua because he does not meet the set requirements. Therefore, we recommend that the position be re-advertised, part of document seen by New Era reads. The post has been vacant since 2021 after the council opted not to renew former CEO Muronga Haingura's contract. Chairperson of the Walvis Bay Municipal Council, Richard Hoebe, yesterday also confirmed that the interview was unsuccessful. And MarketWatch reports that oil and gas companies have intensified the hunt for new deposits in a long-term bet on demand as they reinvest some of the record profits from the fossil fuel price surge driven by the Ukraine war, according to the data and industry executives. The exploration revival on the part of European majors, in particular, reflects a renewed commitment to oil and gas after Shell and BP slowed down plans to shift away from their legacy business and invest in renewables as part of the energy transition. It responds to pressure from a majority of investors to maximize their oil and gas profits rather than invest in lower margin renewable energy businesses. First National Bank takes over Bankers Association of Namibia chairmanship. More on this story in Economic News shortly.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
FNB Namibia CEO Irvin Shipuka took over the chairmanship of the Bankers Association of Namibia at an event held last week. The responsibility of chairing the association rotates annually among the managing directors of chief executive officers of commercial banks in Namibia. Shipuka takes over from Bank Windhoek's managing director Baroness Hans. Speaking at the event, Hans highlighted key milestones achieved during her tenure, which centered around customer centricity as the core of every decision achieved by the association during the 2022-23 period. These milestones included the finalization of the BAN strategy, which solidifies the association's vision and mandate in the Namibian economy through advocacy, market conduct, and corporate social responsibility, the implementation of various regulatory projects aligned with industry requirements, as well as the contribution of 600,000 Namibian dollars to the Bank of Namibia for the population census and an additional 200,000 Namibian dollars to the Namibia Investment Promotion and Development Board for crucial legislative interventions in the foreign investment space. Let's head into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.79 next to the US dollar, with 20.44 Namibian dollars getting you €1. Most selected NSX stock closing prices on the screen managed to maintain their value. Overall index made an uptick of 0.28%, whilst the local index closed on 664.68 points. Looking at commodities, gold and platinum made some upsurges, whilst copper and Brent crude oil made downticks of 0.08% and 0.04% respectively. Relief in Senegal and beyond after Sall averts election crisis. Stay with NMH at 1 for an update.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make changes public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Relief swept Senegal and its supporters on Tuesday after President Macky Sall declared he would not seek a contested third term in office, a move that diffused fears of bloodshed. Reactions at home and abroad were almost universally positive after Sall, ending months of feverish speculation, said that after long consideration, he had decided against contesting next February ballot. In his nationwide address late Monday, Sall said he had sought to prioritize Senegal's progress, in particular at a time of socio-economic difficulties and uncertainties. Senegal is more than me and is full of capable leaders for the country's development, he said. Tuesday, newspapers in Dakar paid lavish tribute to Sall, and many residents said they believed the country had dodged a bullet. Many Senegalese had expected Sall to say he would seek a third term, igniting a showdown with opponents who said he was breaching the constitution. Sall had previously campaigned against a third term by his predecessor Abdoulaye Wade, who was in power from 2000 to 2012, and had said he would not seek re-election, bucking the continent's trend of entrenched strongman leaders. But in recent months, Sall had remained coy about whether he would bid for a third term, stoking an ambiguity exploited by opposition leader Sonko. Clashes between the security forces and Sonko supporters last month left 16 dead, according to the authorities, while Amnesty International put the toll at 24 and the opposition at 13. We head over to the Philippines as we look at international news.
To another exciting episode of Ironggo Talk.
Het is weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the initial local trials for an African swine fever vaccine had shown promising results, raising hopes that it will soon be available in the country to combat the deadly animal disease. A number of vaccines have been tested worldwide as authorities rush to stop the spread of the highly contagious disease that ravages pig farms and the $250 billion global pork industry regularly. One vaccine candidate is close to approval in Vietnam. Marcos, who also heads the Agriculture Ministry, said preliminary clinical trials showed the vaccine produced sufficient antibodies and was safe to use so far, but needed further testing. In the Philippines, African swine fever remains a major concern for hog raisers, as millions of pigs have already been culled since the first local outbreak was detected in 2019. We'll be starting with COSAFA Cup when we head into local sports after the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15. The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
The 2023 COSAFA Cup kickstarts today with the Brave Warriors of Namibia set to face host South Africa in their opening Group A match set for the Kingswell Stadium in Durban, South Africa. The match starts at 6 p.m. Cricket Namibia will host the Castle Light Series against Uganda, scheduled to take place from today until 13 July. The highly anticipated series will feature 4 exciting T20 matches on the 5th, 6th, 8th and 9th of July, with all of them starting at 2 p.m. And Namibian footballer Zinetha Coleman, who plies her trade for Turkish club Fenerbahce, announced that she has extended her contract to 2024. In October 2022, Coleman moved to Turkey and signed with the Istanbul-based club to play in the Women's Super League. We'll be swinging over to international sports.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Japan defender Risa Shimizu is hoping that by focusing on every tiny detail of the game, that Nadeshiko can erase the memory of their disappointing 2019 campaign and make a mark at the Women's World Cup in July and August. Arsenal have reached an agreement to sign West Ham United midfielder Declan Rice in a deal worth over £100 million, British media reported. The Wallabies are wary of the attacking game that DHL Stormers pivot Mani Libbok will bring ahead of the opening game of the Castle Lager Rugby Championship match against the Springboks at Loftus Versfeld on Saturday. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast after this short break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Top. Jullie is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
NMH at 1 on Wednesday, the 5th of July. These are some of our top stories. Relief swept Senegal and its supporters on Tuesday after President Macky Sall declared he would not seek a contested third term in office, a move that diffused fears of bloodshed. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that initial local trials for an African swine fever vaccine had shown promising results, raising hopes that it will soon be available in the country to combat the deadly animal disease. The Brave Warriors of Namibia are set to play host to South Africa in today's Group A COSAFA Cup match at the Kingswell Stadium in Durban, South Africa. The match starts at 6 p.m. That's been NMH at 1, and those were your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with us, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from economic news, current affairs, sports, and headlines. It's goodbye from us in studio.